Hey guys, my name is Marisa Personius. This is my new channel. This is my second video. This channel is all about putting information out there. So I wanted to start interviewing cancer survivors, doctors, nutritionists, really anyone who has anything to do with cancer, because I'm interested in their stories and I'm interested in their information. And I know that going through cancer and post cancer was difficult for me. I felt alone sometimes. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to, work through my medical bills, how to work through my depression and fatigue. So now I'm about 8 years out and I have a handle on things. And so if there's anyone out there that is struggling in the way that I was, I want there to be information for them. So that's why I started this channel, and that's why I wanted to go out and interview people. So my guest tonight is Laura Black. She is a lovely gal. She's actually the mother of my friend Julianne, and she had stage 3 breast cancer. She went through about 9 months of treatment, and I've been watching her stories, and she's doing pretty well. And so I wanted to bring her on and get her story for you guys. So please welcome Laura Black. Hey, Laura.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Marisa.
Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
You're looking
Thank you
well.
for inviting me on.
Of course, of course.
I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, why don't we just jump in? I would love to hear your story in depth. Why don't you start by telling us how you found out you had cancer?
Well, I was actually getting ready to jump in the shower. It was a Friday night, and I was, shaving my axilla, and I noticed that my left breast looked different. On the left side, it kind of had like a concave dip in it. And I really think that the Lord really put my eyes in the mirror, because I was standing in front of a mirror. And I've always, back then, was always really bad about not doing my self breast exams. And so I think it really came to light that night, and it was meant to be. I could have missed it easily, and who knows how long
Right.
it could have gone on without me noticing, especially not doing my breast exams on a monthly basis. So I noticed it looked different, and I was a little puzzled, and I'm like, And then I thought, oh, well, this is a good time to check my breast, since I rarely ever do it. And so I did, and I did feel a lump. What I thought was the size maybe of a dime. It was hard. It felt hard, but it wasn't painful. So I thought, well, it's Friday night. Medical office buildings are closed, so I'll call tomorrow morning. And so I did. They booked me a telephone appointment with the doctor, and I also had a rash, but the rash started like 2 weeks before I found the lump. I didn't know what it was, and it was really itchy, but I didn't suspect anything. I just thought maybe I actually didn't know what it was. So
is a rash a common symptom? Do you know at this point?
It is. So a rash, it can be itchy or not. A hard lump that usually is not painful, but it can be. Any nipple discharge is not usually normal. The dimpling, the concave look in any area of the breast is also something that would make somebody suspicious. So the doctor called me, and she said, well, I want you to call on Monday, make a same day appointment to be seen. It certainly needs to be checked. And so she said, promise me you'll call. And I said, oh, for sure. So I called Monday morning. I got in that afternoon to see a doctor, just a primary doctor. and he as well was able to feel the lump. He assured me that it wasn't anything bad.
Mm.
He didn't want me to worry about it, but he said, nonetheless, I'm going to refer you to a surgeon just to make sure and further investigate. But I think it's a cyst. I don't think it's anything. And so he seemed so sure. So I wasn't worried. He said, don't worry about it. So I wasn't. And so a week later, I saw the surgeon, and she asked me lots of questions, history, medical history with family and myself. I don't have any real breast cancer in the family, except for one paternal cousin on my dad's side. She had breast cancer, but other than that, no one else that we know of. So she also wanted to identify the lump. I laid back, but Marisa, I couldn't find it. I could not feel the lump, and I started stressing out. I'm like, I know it was there, and I was just trying so hard, and she's like, take your time, but I felt like I was under pressure, and I started to stress out because I couldn't find it, and I knew that I felt it, and the doctor's waiting, and she wants me to show her, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, so I said, I can't find it. And so she said, okay, well, let me go get my ultrasound machine. But she had like a little, it wasn't that big. It was just like an office one, not like a really big one that they use like in radiology or anything like that. So she couldn't really see or detect anything. And so she said, you had a mammogram 10 months ago that showed nothing. It was clear. And that up till today, I still find that hard to believe. How something 10 months ago was not there, and now it is. And
especially
so,
stage 3,
right?
Pretty advanced.
Yes. So she referred me to get another mammogram. I was in like the next Tuesday, so 4 days out, I was in, and they did the mammogram first. Then I went in for the ultrasound. The tech kind of talked to me about what was going to happen. And so basically she did the ultrasound, and she said, okay, well, I need you to sign a consent form for a biopsy. So she did see something. The radiologist came in, very nice doctor. She, introduced herself, told me how long she had been doing this. She said, I'm going to numb the area. If you feel that at any point when I'm doing the biopsy, you need more numbing medication, let me know. So she said, this is going to take 5 minutes, maybe 4 samples, and you'll be out of here. It was not like that at all. I was counting. By the 3rd biopsy, I did need more numbing medication. But she ended up taking 12 samples. Half an hour later, I was done. And she actually ran out of the medication, the lidocaine. So she had to go get more because she was trying to get different angles and different pieces from different angles. And so that made me a little suspicious, because up until that point, I wasn't nervous, because I remembered the first doctor said, I don't want you to worry about this. So I didn't. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody that I found a lump. I didn't tell anybody that I went to the doctor, that I was seeing a surgeon, that I was
You didn't tell your husband?
Nope.
Wow.
Nobody, because I felt that if it was nothing, then why put my family through that 2 to 3 week stress? I just didn't feel like it was necessary. And so inside and in my mind, I really did believe that it wasn't anything. So when we were done with the biopsy, I sat up and they patched it and whatever. And so the doctor said, Laura, are you a believer in Christ? And I said, I am. And she said,
what a question.
Yes. You typically don't hear that. And so she said, well, she says, I want you to know that if this turns out to be cancer, I think she knew. I really do think she knew, because she's been doing it so long and they know what it looks like. And she took so many samples. So she says, if it turns out that it is cancer, we have amazing doctors. Medications have come so far from so many years ago. There's so many treatments out there. So I want you to know that you're going to be okay. And I said, okay. And so that like kind of broke my, okay, it isn't, then I got nervous at that point.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the tech and the doctor are like, are you okay? They're like rubbing my back. And I really wanted to cry, but I was being strong. And usually I don't have a problem with crying or expressing myself, no matter who it is. But for some reason, it was different. And I kind of held back in doing that. And they kept saying, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And they're like, oh, usually, when we say this to someone or we took that many samples, they're very nervous. They're already nervous when they're coming in, they've already been like breaking down in emotions and, you just have it so together. And I said, yeah, it's going to be fine. And so she said, if this ends up not being cancer, I want you to get on your knees and thank the Lord. And I said, for sure, for sure. So she says, give us 7 days and you'll find out your results. I said, okay. So that was done on a Tuesday. I work on Thursdays and Fridays. So I went to work that Thursday. At lunchtime, my cell phone was ringing. I knew it was Kaiser. And I knew that it was going to be my doctor, my surgeon. And so I answered. It was her. She just asked me, are you driving? And I said, no, I'm on my lunch break at work. And I knew what she was going to tell me. And so she said, I'm sorry that I have to tell you this, but you do have cancer. And so she said, we're going to find out what kind and the cells and, pathology and all this stuff. So we know how to treat it. But, there is a cancer there. So she brought me in next Monday. I took my best friend. I took Julianne with me, my older daughter. I took my husband because I couldn't think. It was like there was a wall in my brain. I didn't know what to ask. And I don't think it wasn't that I didn't know. I just couldn't even come up with questions. I felt overwhelmed and there was like a wall, so I didn't know what to ask. And even I felt like Julianne took notes when we were there because I felt that all the information I was going to get was not going to register. And it's so much information that they load you with at the beginning, and it's so new and you're in shock. And so she took notes. After that, they talked about a possible lumpectomy where they just take the tumor out. At that point, they did not know really how large my mass was. So they thought it wasn't too large. Maybe I can have chemo first to shrink the tumor and then have the lump taken out. Well, I had some scans done and it showed that my mass was actually those big yellow lemons that can be kind of lumpy. It was that big. It was like more than 3 inches big.
That is huge.
Yes, very huge. And I'm large, I'm large up here. And so I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how did I miss that? Like,
wow.
And so, and even like, the first doctor and myself, it just felt like it was like the size of a dime.
That is so crazy.
Yes. So I ended up choosing to, it wasn't really a choice, but just through finding out how large it was, they said, we can still just take the mass out, but you're not going to have much left because we have to go beyond the mass, take margins and make sure there's nothing past the mass. And I said, just take it all. There's no point in, what are you going to leave behind? So in March, I had a total left breast mastectomy.
Okay.
They let you heal for a month. A month later, I started chemo. I had no clue what chemo really meant and how many side effects are really out there with it. I thought that you went for chemo, you went home and you threw up, and then that was it. There's just so many things, like you said, during treatment and even after treatment that you can deal with, and everybody is different. But the first day I had chemo, I came home in the afternoon, late afternoon, maybe about 5 p.m. By 7, I started to get like I felt like it was leg pain, and I didn't know that could happen. I did tell my family, and my best friend was over, and I said, "Oh, my legs are starting to hurt," and I just thought it was odd. But by maybe an hour and a half later, I couldn't even walk anymore. It was so painful. And during chemo, um, and even 4 months after chemo, I had a lot of bone pain. That was my biggest challenge and my biggest, I don't want to say complaint, because I was trying to hang in there.
Yeah.
My second and third daughter had a very hard time emotionally with what I was dealing with. If the second eldest came over and I complained that I was having pain, she would just be crying and bawling.
Mm.
And I didn't want, I learned really to not to hold it and not really try to express myself, because I was trying to save my kids from heartache.
So hard to be going through all that and then, having to put on that brave face for
Yes,
your kids. You have 4
absolutely.
kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the kids, my husband, everybody was very helpful um, throughout my entire treatment. Like I said, bone pain was my biggest challenge. Nausea I was able to keep under control. Um, Not only did they give me IV steroids, but I was taking steroids by mouth to try to reduce the inflammation that chemo causes and try to maybe not have so much pain. But um, I gained a lot of weight with a lot of, all those steroids that they give you. And but with also with the treatments, I developed neuropathy. So that is like numbness and tingling, usually in the extremities, so hands and feet. So I did
Mm.
develop that. There were times where they would hold my treatment and say, let's give you 2-week break to try to see if your neuropathy isn't as bad in 2 weeks, so we can treat you again. Because they didn't, neuropathy can be permanent if they're not careful.
Oh
So
my
they didn't want
goodness.
to treat me and put more in and have that happen. There were a
But
couple times. Go
there's
ahead.
just no way of knowing though. Like,
No way of knowing. It's just
ah,
it's by just what you feel. So there were a couple times where they also lowered my dose. So I couldn't get a 100% dose, so they lowered it to 75 because I was having that issue, and they didn't want there to be permanent damage in my nerves. Um, yeah, I was able to complete treatment. And things that I did, other than family and friend support, I started reading my Bible every day, and I always was into, the word of the Lord, but I did it daily. I would take my Bible to chemo with me. They knew that I was the lady with the Bible, and so I bought a daily devotional. I did that. I joined a breast cancer support group. I'm good friends with a survivor, and she invited me to that. And it's awesome because you are, it's on Zoom because of COVID, and we're still doing it on Zoom,
that's
but
awesome.
it's with people that have walked those steps. They know what it's like, even though there's different kinds of breast cancers, but we all share. We welcome newcomers. All questions are answered. experiences are talked about. It's just amazing.
That's so helpful.
Yes. And not only do they have a support group, but they have all kinds of educational things that we can sign up for. And it's all on Zoom. They have a Thursday exercise class. They have, what's that exercise that you mostly sit on the floor and it's slow? Yoga. They have yoga.
I love yoga.
Yes. So, a lot of things that that they can provide, and and it's free to you, and you can, even after your treatment as a survivor, you can continue to take advantage of those resources that they have.
Well, that's so great.
Yes,
I feel like as a survivor, it's even nice to be on there for people that aren't at that point yet, and you can just be an encourager.
Yes, everybody's at a different stage or different part of their story and their testimony. So yeah, but after treatment, I was still off work for 4 months. I was very weak. I went from a wheelchair to a walker to walking with assistance, and then walking on my own. Even when I walked on my own, got to that level, I had to be very careful because I had poor balance. I had a lot of tingling and numbness. My bones still hurt for 4 months after. So after that, I was able to return to work on light duty. So
what do you do?
I'm a registered nurse, and I have been in dermatology for 11 years now. I treat acne and warts. But ever since I was off originally for my diagnosis and treatment and all that, I haven't been able to go back to doing that. So they had me just doing like computer things, reaching out to patients that were due for mammogram, pap smear, bone density test, any labs, stuff like that. So nothing physically hard or anything like that. I wasn't seeing patients. And so July 12th of this year, I completed my first phase of reconstruction, breast reconstruction. Thank you. And it was tough. I underestimated, again, I had this, just like I didn't know what could happen with cancer treatment. I really didn't capture or understand the entire thing of what was really going to happen with the surgery. It was a 10-hour surgery.
Long.
Yeah, they had to, because I'm not, I wasn't a candidate for implants because the radiation did a lot of damage to the area. So any plastic surgeon would not recommend implants. So I went for a surgery that's called deep flap. What they do is they cut you from hip to hip. And they remove your fat, and that's what they use to create your breast. Your new
no breast. Way.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yes. So they had to, I had a little piece of rib removed during the surgery because it was kind of in the way in the abdomen, like the lower, in the lower part of the rib cage. And then they also took a little piece of bone from my chest area because they started there. They find the main artery and the main vein. They follow it down. They trace it down to your abdomen. They cut it and reconnect stuff down there. They remove the fat. And so when they put the fat up here, they take the artery and the vein that they cut out and attach it also to here because it needs blood supply. Without the blood supply, the tissue, my fat would die. So it'd be pointless. So it was a
major surgery.
Yes.
A lot of moving parts, literally.
They had a whole team, a vascular surgeon, orthopedic surgeon for the bones. And yeah, it was crazy. And I was in the ICU for 5 days after the surgery. After the fifth day, they let me come home. I did have about of like a 48-hour depression. The first 2 days when I came back, I really questioned myself about, was this the right thing to do? Should I just not had did this? Because I was already recovering. Now I feel like like I took 10 steps forward, but now I'm back 30 steps because now I have to recover for this. And I questioned myself. I was like, maybe I should have just
Mm,
stayed with one breast. Who cares? It's okay,
mm,
But the doctor, he said, I told you it wasn't going to be easy. This was a big, I know. And I know I knew that, but I tend to try to be positive, and,
mm.
I'm always like, gung ho with the Lord, and I know the Lord has my back, and He gets me through every day. And so I'm like, it's gonna be okay. But it was really tough. That recovery and that surgery was rough, rough, rough.
Yeah.
But now I could put it behind me.
Mm.
I'm not done with it yet. Now the next part is for them to reduce and lift my right breast and match it with the left breast.
Oh, they have to reduce it to
Yes,
match it?
because
Okay.
it depends on how what the build is of the person. Some people are more heavy. Tend to be on the thinner side, so I didn't have a lot of fat. So the plastic surgeon, he's like, that I'm not going to be able to create that other big breast that you have, right? I go, oh no, I know, no. He's like, maybe I could give you a big B, maybe. So I'm like, hey, I'm happy with anything,
Yeah.
I'm not
Aw.
concerned about that. So yes, now if I would have been a larger person, then and there's more fat to work with, then maybe he could have given me the same size. So it's
Yeah.
different with everybody,
So interesting.
yes. So with this kind of surgery and being in this kind of predicament, in my
Mhm.
case, he's going to have to reduce it and lift it so it matches the new one that I got.
Mhm.
So that's going to be done early January next year. So I know it's
Good.
coming up. Yeah, it's coming up. I did tell him, I said, is it going to be just as hard as this last one? Because that surgery was rough. If it's going to be like that, I'm like, just leave me with 1.5. I'm fine with one
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's going to be easier. He said,
Okay.
although, yes, it's going to be another surgery and you're going to have to
Mhm.
recover, but it should be easier. I said, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then,
not 10 hours, I would
no,
imagine.
no, not 10 hours. And in that process, they also found that I had an umbilical hernia that I had no idea about.
Hmm.
So I have to get that taken care of. I'm hoping that they can do it at the same time. That would be awesome. Because then they put you under, they could do both things, and you're
Yeah.
done. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Um,
Take care of everything. Just do it
yes,
all.
absolutely. So if they can, that will be great. If they can't, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to being able to being done with this and being able to put it
Mhm.
behind me. And I really appreciate you, Marisa, that you
Mm.
asked me on to your channel, because I feel the same way as you do. I feel that we need to whatever we can give as far as information and experience and knowledge to other people, that whether they're going through it or maybe a family member's going through it, a friend, or you never know, they may end up having something in the future. I would love it if they could, if we, both of you and I, can share what we went through, and they can have that information, because
Mhm.
like me, I thought what cancer was like, okay, you go to chemo and throw up. Well, no, that is really not reality. So I thank you for this time, and
Yes.
this,
Mm.
yeah, thank
Well,
you.
I'm so happy that you came on. I loved hearing your story. As tough as it is, and as hard as it is to hear, um, like you're saying, all of these stories are, at the end of the day, encouraging to see what other people have gone through. And
Yes.
yeah, I think that other people can really benefit. Like I had no idea, I'm not super familiar with breast cancer. And then even what comes after with, reconstruction and,
Yeah.
And those surgeries, like what you just described, I had no idea that was a thing, taking the fat from your hip.
Right. That's
So
crazy. Yeah,
crazy.
those are things that you don't know because
Yeah.
you have never been in that situation or you've never
Mhm.
known someone. But yeah, I mean, and it is amazing. I think how far they've come with all that in
Definitely.
itself. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they've come very far.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Laura, it seems like what I'm getting is that you have a very positive outlook.
Yes.
And I think that that goes a long way. And even, during your treatment, how you decided to, dive in with reading your Bible and doing devos and joining a support group. I think getting your mental game strong is so important, and I think that is a huge help to
Absolutely.
your recovery, your overall health is
Makes a
when
huge
you're,
difference.
yeah.
Because it could easily be so different. I'm sure a lot of people fall into a depression. They let fear take over them. I mean, they're probably constantly overwhelmed, and not that I wasn't at any point. I mean, we're human. Of course, I was scared sometimes at different points, but my trust and faith in the Lord is huge, and he's done so many things for me in the past in my life and in my kids' life. I've seen miracles. So I felt that I was going to get through it. Now, one thing I can say that I just remembered when I was going through it, I was so anxious to be done because I thought, okay, after I'm done, I don't even want to talk about this. I don't want to remember that I had it. I just want to move on with my life. But as time has gone by, I started to feel different, and I started to, because I know that there's a purpose for everything. The Lord uses us for His glory and His good, and He wants us to share His message and His word. And so I started to feel like the Lord's gonna use me with this, and I'm gonna go far with this, and that's why I'm so open, because like you, Marisa, I want to share, and possibly, like you said, if we can just help one person, that's the difference right there.
Worth it.
Yes,
Yeah,
totally.
totally agree. Well, another thing that you're doing, which I love seeing, is you are getting involved in friends' baby showers, kind of as a new
Yes.
hobby / little side business.
Right.
And you're doing the diaper cakes, which are
Yes.
so cute and so
Thank you.
fun. I love seeing them.
Thank
If
you.
anyone here is in the Orange County area, feel free to reach out to Laura. Here's her Instagram. It's Laura's Creations with a K.
Yeah.
Additionally, she's on Facebook. It's slightly different. I know sometimes we have a hard time getting the same name, but it's Creations by Laura with a K again, all one word. And reach out to her.
Thank you, everyone, and Marisa. My oncologist was really happy that I'm doing this. The other thing that I think it's gotten a little bit better, but I got chemo brain. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, Marisa.
Oh my gosh, I had that big time.
Oh, yeah.
I still use it as an excuse sometimes.
Right. But yes, it's like you can't remember, and then you have it in your head, but it doesn't come out. Like it just doesn't transfer. I don't know. But she's like, I'm glad you got into this little hobby and doing these things, and because that will keep your brain exercising and thinking, and so
for sure. That's something that I've been kind of thinking about is, I think when I was younger, I was a little more fatalistic. And so when I was struggling with depression, it's like, oh, I guess this is just who I am now. And however, that's not the case. I ended up really pressing into it and researching, and I was able to figure out my depression. It did turn out to be more of a physical thing. I had autoimmune, still have it. I have Hashimoto's. And so the things that I eat and then getting the right vitamins
Yes.
majorly affected my brain and how I thought and my energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so since then, I just agree. I'm a huge proponent of doing things for your brain, trying new things, getting new experiences. It keeps you sharp. And I think that that also just helps on the journey of health and well-being.
Absolutely. Yes. My oncologist suggests that I try to at least do walking or some form of exercise, 30 minutes, 5 days a week if I can. And it just depends. I am on a chemo maintenance pill. My breast cancer was hormonal. So it's supposed to block the hormones and hopefully, the breast cancer will not come back in the next 5 years. So, but that medication does also give me joint and bone pain. So I do try to do my best with exercise, and I'm really motivated because even the exercise will, they say will keep the cancer away, or it's beneficial to keep it away. And, in general, it's just beneficial, but they told, she told me that the B vitamins like B complex, B12, fish oil, folic acid, those are very good for my neuropathy. So the nerve damage that I got because of the, consequence from the chemo, I take those supplements to kind of help with that. So, there's a lot of education, and I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful.
I love that. And that's probably one more reason to join like a cancer support Zoom like you're doing, is you're able to talk about this with other people and see what they're doing. Oh, this supplement really helped with this issue.
Absolutely.
So I think it's, sharing ideas, getting information.
Yes.
For sure.
I didn't even know that my hair was not this curly before it came in this way. And maybe just 3 months ago, we were talking about hair, and then they said, "Oh, your chemo curls are getting long," and I'm like, "Oh, they're called chemo curls? I have no idea." So now I know. I'm like, "Oh yeah, my chemo curls."
Chemo curls. Yeah. I know we were talking before we jumped online, and I was surprised my hair came back exactly the same, which, works for me. But yeah, I love seeing the gals with, their beautiful curls and stuff. It's just funny. It's like, what's going to happen? That's, I guess, part of cancer and the chemo treatment is, what am I going to get when I come out of this?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, anyway, Laura, I think we're winding down, and again, I just thank you for being so open and sharing your story. To close it out, I wanted to ask just one more question. What's something that you learned from going through this process?
Something that I learned, and it's a huge thing. You always hear that phrase, "live like it's your last day." And I always thought, like, well, how do you do that? Because you think, well, on the last, if you knew this was going to be your last day, I would think like you want to do everything that you love to do. You want to tell everybody that you love them. You want to spend time with everybody just in that last day. And I always thought, like, that's impossible. Like, you can't. But you can live your day like it's your last day, because whatever it is you're going to do that day, even if it's a normal day, like I went to work today, and when I go to work, I write an inspirational message every Thursday and Friday. When I go to work every morning, we have a dry erase board, and I write an inspirational message. That is taking a step forward, and making, I feel like that is doing something for my coworkers, inspiring them, and it can even help them have a better day. So living your last day, living your life like it's the last day, even that small thing of writing that up there, I feel like it's huge, because you're doing, you're helping other people. Today I can tell my closest family that I love them. I can you know, I could order something to eat that's my total favorite. So I really believe that you can live no matter what you have planned for that day. And it could be a little difference. It could be ordering your favorite food. It could be just hugging your loved ones in your home for the last time. You can live that day like it's your last. I really believe it now.
I love that.
Now.
I really, really love that.
And I've learned that you truly can just be happy that day and make the most out of it, whether you're at work or you know, you're at home with your kids and your husband. Make the most out of it, and you have lived that day like it's your last.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
I think you know, there's something to having stayed in ICU and gone through what you've been through that just makes you think, I could be back on a hospital bed. And because I'm not, you know, I'm going to live life to the fullest.
Yes. You know, just saying something nice to someone like, oh, that dress looks pretty on you. Just bringing out the positiveness and being kind. Not really getting mad over small things. I think I've come a long way with that too. So I think that when you are faced, you know, some people call it death, but when you are faced or go through something like a diagnosis of cancer, I think that it can change you, and and if you let it, it will change you to be that better person, that kinder person, that more patient person, and just seeing when you wake up, giving thanks to the Lord that He allowed you to wake up and see your family, allowed you to drive to work. You know, I can see, I can hear. I know chemo can cause hearing loss. I have a couple of friends that happened to. You know, my hearing is fine. So every day there's so much to be thankful for. So those are the things that I learned. Yes.
I love it. Well said. Well, Laura, this has been a real pleasure. I've really enjoyed chatting with you.
As well. Thank you.
Yeah, your story is very inspiring and encouraging. So again, I just thank you for being so open.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and I think that wraps up our show for tonight. Right. So yeah, everyone out there, you know, thank you for being a part of this.
Absolutely.
And
anytime.
Yeah, and yeah,
and
you too.
Everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, to anyone who watched the show, I hope that you were encouraged, and yeah, we'll end it there. We'll see you guys next time. Laura, have a great night.
Have a good night. You too, Marisa. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye.